in the quiet town of Dyersville, Iowa. A place where neighbors still wave and the smell of autumn clings to the trees. Tragedy arrived not with a scream but with a whisper. It was October 13, 2021. A cold front had swept through the small town, bringing rain and an eerie stillness. At 7:23 p.m., Marie Wren dialed 911. Her daughter, 14-year-old Emily, hadn't returned home from school. At first, the police believed it was a case of a runaway teen or a delayed walk home. But Marie insisted. Emily was punctual, dependable, and cautious. This wasn't like her. Within hours, the search began. Police officers combed wooded trails. Volunteers moved through fields with flashlights and prayer. Flyers appeared on storefronts. Social media lit up with Emily's bright smile and soft brown eyes. Her disappearance rattled the tight-knit community. And then there was Caleb. Her 17-year-old brother stood silently beside his parents at every vigil. He held candles. He nodded solemnly during press interviews. But those who were watching closely, detectives, psychologists, noticed something odd. Caleb never said his sister's name. Caleb Wren was the kind of teenager small towns treasure. Smart, quiet, polite. He got straight A's, tutored underclassmen in physics, and volunteered at the local library. His teachers called him an old soul. His classmates mostly forgot he existed. He and Emily shared a close bond, at least on the surface. They shared morning walks to school, inside jokes, and birthday cakes. But something darker brewed beneath the image of sibling harmony. A week into the investigation, detectives received an anonymous tip. You need to look in Caleb's room. With no evidence of forced entry or kidnapping, suspicion had started to drift toward the family. The tip accelerated it. The police obtained a search warrant and returned to the Wren household. What they found in Caleb's room chilled them. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard was a journal, filled with meticulously sketched drawings of people with hollow eyes, surreal violent fantasies, and coded entries that would take days to decipher. Most disturbing was a sentence written over and over again in the margins. They don't see me, but they will hear me. Beneath his bed were parts of a dismantled smartphone with encrypted messages. In his closet, a compact surveillance setup. Cameras wired to an old monitor. The feeds weren't aimed outside the home for protection. They were aimed at Emily's room. Detectives knew they were looking at more than a missing persons case. It took another 10 days before they found her. Emily's body was discovered near a shallow creek just 2 miles from the Wren home. She had been gently placed on a bed of leaves, arms folded across her chest as though someone had laid her to rest with care. The medical examiner reported no signs of torture or prolonged suffering. She had been suffocated, quickly and quietly. The body had not been disturbed by animals. Whoever placed her there had returned more than once to ensure she remained untouched. Caleb didn't resist arrest. In fact, he didn't say much at all. He barely blinked when detectives showed him the photographs. It wasn't until 3 days into questioning, during a lucid moment, that Caleb finally spoke. "Is she safe now?" he asked. His voice cracked like dry leaves underfoot. When pressed, Caleb revealed his version of reality, one in which Emily wasn't Emily. He believed she had been replaced, her body used as a vessel for voices that were trying to control his thoughts. He was convinced she could read his mind in her sleep, that her voice changed, that her eyes no longer reflected anything familiar. Caleb claimed that ending her life was not out of anger or jealousy, but survival. Psychiatrists would later diagnose him with paranoid schizophrenia, a condition that had likely gone undetected for years. Caleb's hallucinations were vivid, persuasive. His detachment from reality had grown steadily, masked by his academic performance and introverted nature. In court, the prosecution faced a dilemma. Caleb's confession was clear, but his mental state blurred every legal line. Forensic psychologists testified that Caleb did not understand the nature or consequences of his actions. The judge ruled him not guilty by reason of insanity. He was committed to a maximum security psychiatric hospital in Des Moines, where he remains to this day. His parents, Marie and Thomas, retreated from the public eye. They sold the house. They never spoke to the media again. Those who knew them said they aged a decade in the months that followed. As for Caleb, staff say he is calm, compliant. He paints landscapes now, mostly mountains and fields, sometimes rivers. Occasionally in art therapy he talks to someone who isn't there. "Emily likes the blue ones," he told a nurse one day, pointing to a canvas. The story of Caleb Wren is not just about a crime, it's about the silence before it. A slow unraveling. A failure to see the signs before the break came. In Dyersville, October still brings an ache in the air. The creek runs cold, the leaves fall early, and sometimes, when the wind is just right, the townspeople say you can hear footsteps in the woods. But this story doesn't end with a chase or a gunshot or a dramatic arrest. It ends with a boy who no longer knew the difference between love and fear. A sister who never stood a chance. And a mother who even now listens for footsteps she knows won't come. Sometimes the darkest stories don't begin with a scream, but with a whisper in a locked room.